Oh.
Every once in a while, I find myself asking myself, what if the hokey pokey really is what it's all about? I mean, think about it. You put your shit in, you take your shit out, you put your shit in, you shake it all about. I mean, like laundry, stock market, sex. I mean, it applies to all that shit, right? I'm just saying. I had a friend who was actually addicted to the hokey pokey, but then he turned himself around. When I was a little boy, like almost 4 years old, we moved to Panama in Central America. My dad worked for Bank of America. We weren't like doing any illegal shit. But my very first day in the front yard, I saw my neighbors, and I was like, oh, I want to go play with them. They look like my age. And the kid had a horse in his hand, and I was like, oh, hey, I like your horse. What's up? And he looked at me, he's like, oh, mi caballero. I mean, mi caballo. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, huh? I had no idea there was another way to talk to somebody. And what's crazy is my first name is Philip, which is lover of horses, but that was like my avenue to Spanish. And what I love about Spanish is that like so many words in Spanish sound so much more romantic than English. Like basura blanca sounds so sexy, but it means white trash. I mean, it's not cool. Right? And a lot of words sound more sexy in Spanish, but English, they always fuck shit up. Like, I have a friend from France, and he called me one day, his name's Camille. He's actually, what's crazy is that he started out as a motocross racer that became a model, and now he's a stunt coordinator in Los Angeles. It's crazy. But he called me one day, and he's like, hey, Tony, the American, I don't understand the obsession with the word douche. I don't understand why the douchebag, what is this? I said, well, it's dirty. He said, no, in France, it's a shower. It's how you clean yourself. I said, well, that's not what it means in America. So he called me like a week later, like I had left him a voicemail, and he hit me like 15 minutes back later, and he's like, hey, Tony, I'm so sorry. I missed your call. I just got out of the douche. Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, the fact that Cammy became a stunt coordinator, it makes me look at jobs. What's the worst job y'all ever had out there? Like anybody? Like what's the worst job you ever had?
McDonald's.
Okay, that's a really shitty job. Anybody else? Taco Bell. Okay, well that's like fast food, but like we all have that though, right? We all have like bad experiences. I used to work for a place called Wilkes Fast Food. I don't know if like see how fancy my shoes are. Like I used to sell like really expensive shit in Palo Alto, and we had been open for like 6 weeks, and my buyer got mad at me because I didn't close the sale because the guy had been expecting he wanted to see all these different pairs of shoes, and we only had like half of the shit he wanted. So I told him, I said, well, come back and we'll fix it. And so like the next day my buyer came in, and he hadn't even been there. He's like, oh, just sell the fucking shoe, man. Like don't talk about the shoe, like just close the sale, just sell it. A monkey could sell the fucking shoe. And at the end of the conversation, I was like, you need to go hire a fucking monkey. And then this other time, I had a boss, he had left, like I was working in the kitchen with him, and he had left the burner on, and like the handle from the other pan was like on fire, because the burner was on. And I turned it off, and I Instagrammed that shit. It was funny, and I had to put it out there. But I called him out on it later, and he's like, I'm 64 years old, you can't tell me nothing. That was like a week ago. Anyway. The worst job I've ever had was Olive Garden. I mean, as a server, it was the worst fucking experience I've ever had. Thank you, I appreciate that. I had this one particular night, I don't know if you know this, but like people who have like, their AARP cards, they don't tip very well. And like these two couples showed up, they were like at least 65 each. Like it was like a husband and wife and a husband and wife. They hadn't seen each other in a minute. So as I'm trying to take their order, they're talking to each other. So like the first person's like, oh, they're all super, you know how it's gonna go, super salad. You know, you're gonna get like $1.50 tip, whatever. But the first guy asked me, like, what's the super salad? And so anybody here, what are the soups and salads, or what are the soups at Olive Garden? Fagioli? Okay, gnocchi. Okay, those are the four. You get 4 fucking options. It hasn't changed in like 20 fucking years. So each person at the table asked me, like, what are the soups? So I tell the first guy the soups. Second person asks me, what are the soups? I tell the second guy the soups. Third person asks me the soups. I'm like, what the fuck? The last lady, she's like, what are the soups? I looked at the table, I'm like, can anybody else please explain to her what are the soups? Two other tables behind her told her the soups. It was like, come on, lady. Half an hour later, I came back to get their next soup. She looks at me, she goes, do you have clam chowder? I'm like, lady, that's, no, that's Red Lobster. That's the other Darden restaurant, that's not us. No, and also it wasn't even Friday. Like nobody serves clam chowder on a Tuesday. So she goes, do you have anything with corn? I'm like, lady, we had the same 4 fucking soups. I fucking told you 4 times already. God, anyway, that was the hardest $6 I ever made in my life. The funny thing about that job though, that it wasn't the worst. Like everybody at that job, everybody was feeling it. I was off one night and I came back and the restaurant kitchen manager, Renee, was pissed because apparently they made a lot of mistakes the night before. And she was just like, I don't want any fucking issues at night, no more fucking shenanigans. If you fuck up, I'm sending you home. And I hadn't been there, so I waited till like it cleared out and I walked up to Renee and I was like, hey Renee, I wasn't here last night. I'm really sorry about what happened. Is it cool if I shenan once, as long as I don't shenan again? Thank you.